Hey, Satanico here for Godlovescomics, and it has been far too long since I made a video at all, and even longer since I made a comics haul video, which maybe 2 people watch. But anyway, I've got 4 packages here. I buy very sporadically. In this case, I kind of did a mix of things that I just wanted to flip because they were just too good a deal to pass up on eBay when I was just skimming through there when I was bored, and a little bit of a sentimental throwback to childhood days. So I've got a little bit of mix of both, so let's get right into them. This is neither. Well, actually it is in the flip mode because this is called Teen Love. I like the romance comic books, and this one was a particularly great deal because it was only 99 cents. On eBay and pretty much anywhere else, the price for this is $20 to $30, so you almost can't go wrong. The shipping did cost me an extra $4, so it's like a $5.38, I think, but still a great deal. Whether there's anyone looking for this, I don't know. It's not as good as obviously the DC romance books or the Marvel romance books, where you had people like John Romita and Nick Cardy, Dick Giordano and Vinnie Coletta, and all kinds of, Don Heck, all doing comics. I'm not even sure who did the cover here, but the catch here was that this was counterculture, the face of love. This guy's name is actually Johnny Love, and I guess because he has a goatee, he is counterculture. So he's the bad boy. But either way, 99 cents for a romance comic. If you look on eBay, it is a steal. Now we get into, this is pretty cool. This is Batman number 191. This is not in great shape. I think this is, I don't know, maybe a good, very good. It's got a lot of spine wear, as you might be able to see. A little off center. But this kind of came in a little bundle of comics, and it was just too good a deal to pass up. Let me see where those comics were. Looking on eBay. Not actually sure, but I know I paid a very low price for these. Let's see. Well, I don't know. We'll go by it. But looks, I guess it looks like an Infantino cover. Now we get into these, and this is Batman number 364. Now this is a duplicate copy. I've already got a copy of this, but again, these were a really good deal. In this case, well, actually, in this case, I paid $15.50 for this for 363 and 2 other copies, but actually I think still a good deal. This one doesn't go for very much, I don't think. Okay, and very fine on my comic shop. They've got it for $10.75. So say I paid $15 for it. You see the price on here from New Dimension Comics is $12. So either way, I think it's probably really realistically a $5 comic because I don't think there's a tremendous demand. But this is Don Newton interior art, and the cover is by Ed Hannigan and Dick Giordano. So I like that already. I like Don Newton's work. And then I believe I also have a copy of this as well. So those 2 came together. 365 is, again, that's listed as about $7 and 8.0. But these were all, I think, very fine. So it's actually a nice condition. But again, probably a $4 or $5 comic. But then this is kind of the catch here. This is 363, and this is the first appearance of Nocturna. Now, my comic shop doesn't even have any of these in stock, which is actually usually pretty good because it means there's kind of a high demand, because they usually almost always have comics, especially from this era, in stock. It's not an extraordinarily valuable comic. I'm not even sure if Nocturna, what her role is in the current DC universe. I don't follow that stuff. But since my comic shop had none listed, I looked up on gocollect.com, and get a range. Let's see. This is it's got a little crease in the corner here, and then other than that, it looks like a really nice copy. So say even an 8.0. 8.0 on here is only 16 bucks, but then you see it listed. They also show listings on eBay. They've got one for 14 bucks, one for 20, one for 41. 9.8 for 225. Of course, that's pretty typical. You know, everything from 20 to 40. But when you consider I got these 3 comics for $15.50, I think a pretty good deal. And anytime you get any kind of first appearance, it's always pans out. Now we get into something that I've had a lot of lately. This is the closest I've come to hoarding a comic. Don't ask me why, except for the fact that I seem to be able to find these relatively cheaply. I've sold a copy for 60 bucks, and this one is fine. I kind of bought it as a pair, and I got a steal of a deal on this one. Let's go back to my eBay listings. Now this one, okay, this was the fine, right? So okay, maybe not such a steal, but still pretty good. I think I paid, I think I paid $21 on this one. But as I said, I've sold a copy for 60. Maybe harder to do now, but I still think it's maybe a $30 to $40 comic easily. And obviously, if you wanted to wait until this is the first Killer Croc. If you wanted to wait until that character kind of pops off somewhere in the DC universe, then you've got a real steal. But I find this always to be a pretty good investment. There are a lot on the market, so it may be a little bit harder to move. But what you do is you usually want to move it in conjunction with this one. And this is definitely a little bit harder to find and a lot more expensive. And this was absolutely a steal, $357. I got this for 30 bucks. Now, this is the first Jason Todd, and it is a cameo of Killer Croc. And again, if you don't know the backstory, first of all, I've got a really high grade copy of this that I finally picked up. But I was not collecting comics at this point. I had given up on comics at this point. And I just kind of, when I came back into the hobby and to the medium, I was just looking for some Don Newton art because I just fondly remember Don Newton's Batman when I was growing up, but I only ever got a few scattered copies. And so I saw the comics around these on a website, and I was able to pick them up really cheaply, but for some reason, okay, $357 was particularly expensive, and then I saw it was the first Jason Todd. Not even familiar with who Jason Todd was at the time. It's just like, okay, it's the second Robin. I still haven't really read anything with that character in it, but anyway, picking this up for 30 bucks. So my comic shop has a lot of these listed, by the way. And by the way, they also have $358, which you're looking at. This one I've got listed as fine. This is probably a 6.5 to 7, and they've got a 7.0 on there listed at $47. Actually, a couple of them, and then 6.5 at $40. So again, good deal because I got it for $21. And then this I got for $30. Great deal because, let's see, this one I would say is also about a 6.0. They've got a 5.0 on my comic shop for $100. They've got a 7.0 for $150. They've got a 4.0 for $65. So I feel like this is at least a $70 to $80 book. Obviously, you have to find someone looking for it. I've already posted it on Facebook, and I got a few offers for trades, including a Miracle Man #1, which I would have taken because I like Miracle Man. I love Kirby. But then when I saw the actual scans or the actual pictures of it close up, it had a lot of issues that, made it not even like an appealing low grade, or mid grade copy. But anyway, I'm really happy with this one for $30. And I'm sure I can recoup that and probably a solid double, maybe even a triple off of this if I find the right buyer, which shouldn't be too hard. And then here is another 358. Like I said, I've actually got 2 or 3 of these already, and I just picked up at least 2 more, maybe 3 more. So this one is actually a really great buy as well because this is near mint. I looked at it. It is in beautiful condition. Tight corners. Maybe a spine tick here or there. I mean, easily a 9.0, but I would say probably closer to 9.2, maybe even a 9.4 on a good day. So a great buy, I think. And as I was saying, they've got the high one that they have on my comic shop is $47 for a 7.0. So this is a 9.0 that at least that I picked up for, I think, also $21. Yeah, I'm sorry. The fine that I'm talking about, I picked up for $15.50, and then I picked this one up for $21. And so easily worth probably 2 to 3 times more than that. So I think another great buy. Then we get into Batman 402, which was a Jim Starlin cover. I've got a copy of this already as well. It's not a very valuable comic, but it kind of came in a bundle, so I was happy to pick that up as well. Again, I'm not sure which batch I picked those up in. Yeah, I don't see it listed. Maybe I've already expired. And then got 442 as well. And like I said, these came, again, very cheaply, I think. And 442 is like the 3rd Robin, not Jason Todd. I actually already forget what this guy's name is, where he first dresses as Robin, I think. But I don't think it's like terribly valuable, but it's probably at least, it's probably a $10 comic, especially in this condition. It's actually in very nice condition, so good deal. And now I've got to pop open this package. This came in priority mail. And then he put in this little mailer here. These are not bagged and boarded. I mean, they're all bagged together, it looks like. But that's actually, again, no complaints there. You see another 358. This one I absolutely couldn't pass up because I got this for a crazy low price. $4.99 for a lot of 9. And so you almost can't go wrong. You already have a key. It may not be a major key, but it's a minor key. And as we've already established, this comic is, even in so-so condition, even as 7.0, 6.5 as a $40 comic. I just picked this up with a stack of other Batmans for $4.99. Now I had to pay $7 in shipping, so it came out to about, what did we get? Like $13, but still a good deal. Plus, well, the $13 is adding in now the fact that eBay also charges taxes, which really sucks. So you'll always see like an extra couple of bucks tacked on there. So these were kind of photographed as a bundle, so I couldn't totally tell what the condition is. It's actually in better condition than I imagined. Actually, it's in really nice condition. It's got a little bit of maybe a scuffing mark or something, a little, but actually it almost looks like a printing thing because I don't feel anything. And then the spine is actually really nice. This is actually a very fine copy. So for $4.99, fantastic deal. Again, so, hey, if you can flip a couple of books like this that are duplicates, then you can buy more comics. And that's all I'm doing. I mean, I love the medium for the art form. The only reason I discovered these is because I was looking for Don Newton comics quite a while back, and kind of just stumbled onto these sort of key issues, and it's like, hey, if I can sell a few key issues and then buy some more stuff, or just buy myself a cup of coffee. Cool. Then we're looking at 371. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, well. We're looking at 371. I've got a copy of this as well. This is Ed Hannigan and Dick Giordano cover, and again, Don Newton artwork inside, and pretty cool. And Catman. Catman, who I have posted many times on the GLC Facebook forum from his Golden Age days, which I always thought was a pretty cool character in the Golden Age, since I've gone back and looked at it, with Alfredo Akela inking and Doug Monk as the writer. So I already like, I like this comic just for the art. Absolutely worth it. It's probably about a $9 comic, $7 or $8. It's listed at $9 at 8.0. So once again, you're talking $5 just for those two, and then there's still another stack here. All of these were in the same bundle. This is 376, and 376 is Ed Hannigan, Klaus Janson, and again Don Newton. Same creative team: Don Newton, Alfredo Akela, Doug Moink, and this is actually listed in very fine as $11.25. And this is at least a fine, and I would say it's very fine. So another excellent deal. And then the batch goes into Brave and Bold, which, this is just gravy at this point. I mean, if I could have picked up 358 just for $4.99, I would have taken it. Then getting the other two Batmans, and then picking up some Brave and the Bold, which was always a fun series. I don't think these are, particularly valuable, but I mean, these are still Bronze Age comics. This one was published in 1982. It's unbelievable to me that these comics are close to 40 years old. But Jim Aparo art. Jim Aparo art. Pretty fun stuff. Batman and I, Vampire. And it's all Jim Aparo. He did the pencils and the inks. One of the great Batman artists. I'm always happy with that. Pretty cool. Batman, Ragman. Again, Jim Aparo art. And then World's Finest comic, Superman and Batman. And this is an Ed Hannigan and Klaus Janson cover. And Jerome Moore. Interesting. Jerome Moore, I see a lot on Facebook, particularly the comic, the Bronze Age forums. I've never actually seen his art in a book, and it's actually pretty good. So that's pretty cool. And then, last but not least, is another World's Finest. I'm flipping through. I assume this might be Jerome Moore as well. No, Mike Chin, Pablo Marquez inker. But as I said, those, and still pretty cool cover, again by Hannigan, I do believe. And it has a Teen Titans poster by George Perez. Is that inside here, or is that, I have to order for it? I don't know. I don't see it. Get the new Teen Titans. Okay, so I guess they want you to buy that back in whatever, the 80s. So a great deal there. Now we get off into the quickly. I've already run 20 minutes. As I've said, my comic book hauls can go, I can get 10 comics and it'll run an hour. Somebody else will get 2 long boxes and do it in 10 minutes. So just race through them. Okay, these are more sentimental. You can see them in the Gemini mailer. So that's always good shipping. But that's not to say that these don't also have some value, and there are also some duplicates here for sure. So let's see, what do we have? Yeah, there are actually a couple in here. They're definitely pretty valuable, all things considered. And these actually look like they were in very nice shape. Just looking for a price. Okay, I think this lot here, one cost me $36 in auctions, and the other cost me $34 in auction. So we're looking at $70 total, plus a little bit extra. And also shipping was free, so it was just the taxes. So there you go, is Avengers 155. Beautiful. I grew up in this era of Avengers. Early on, it was always my favorite book. And until Uncanny X-Men came along and kind of took away its shine. Not for me necessarily, but at that point, Uncanny started getting all the best artists. This was Kirby. When Jack Kirby was on the book, that was kind of when I really caught on to it. And then you had George Perez and John Byrne, so you just had this incredible run of three of the best artists from that era. Of course, Jack Kirby transcended Golden Age, Silver Age, and Bronze Age. But in 155, and I love the storyline as well. Doctor Doom, Atuma, this is fun. If I go back and read it now, which I don't really go back and read superhero comics at all, but if I did, probably it might come across as really silly, especially the dialogue. But I can look at the Kirby art. And I'm not even sure if it has Kirby interior. It doesn't. It has George Perez. The cover is by Kirby and Al Milgrom. The script is by Jerry Conway, who was always reliable from the Golden Age. So, and this is only in fine as an $8 comic, but I was impressed by the conditions of these. Really nice. This comic is from 1977. So, nice corners. Nice. This actually looks, at least in the bag, it actually looks like a 9.0. Maybe I'm out of my mind. I'll have to look at it more closely, but nice. So, I don't know, at least $10 comic. And again, I get these for, I think I got this for $36. And then we get into, this was one of my favorites also from that time period. And again, really beautiful condition, 161. Let's scroll down. I don't think these are actually in order, obviously. They stacked this. Now, this in 8.5 is a $40 comic. And, of course, you got a great cover, one of my favorite covers from the era, by George Perez and Pablo Marcos. I remember I made a t-shirt, and I drew just ants all over the t-shirt, and I'm sure I was inspired by this. And this is a reappearance of Ultron. Ultron previously appeared in Fantastic Four 150. I don't know if that's the value of it or not, but 7.0 is $20, and 8.5 is $40. I don't think you would get $40 for this necessarily, but I think you could get 15, 20 for it easily. And in this condition, maybe better. I've already got a copy of this that I literally bought for 30 cents off the newsstand. So, and then you've got 159. So we go back a little bit, and 159 is still listed as an $18 comic. Sal Buscema and Pablo Marcos. The script is by Jim Shooter. Cover is by Gil Kane and Frank Giacoya. So, and there's Count Nefaria. So actually, again, another really great storyline here. Then 156, that is Jack Kirby again. Maybe not quite up to the par of like his 60s Thor or 60s Fantastic Four, of course, which were just incredible. But I still loved the covers, and Kirby in this era is still the big chunky, still the raw power, and some of the kinetic energy. Al Milgrom was probably not the best inker for Jack Kirby in the first place, but still, I love these covers, love the work, and this again looks like a really nice copy. I mean, these bags and boards are very clean. They look like everything's brand new, and the comics almost look like they just came off the rack. I'm actually incredibly impressed by the condition. I was looking at them relatively closely, but when you get these bundles a lot of times they don't have individual pictures of each issue, but they look like they were in good shape, and they're actually in better shape than I imagined. That was 156. This is 157. Listed as a $28 comic in 8.5. This looks like at least an 8.5 or an 8.0. And again, another Kirby and Dan Atkins. And I think Dan Atkins was definitely the better inker compared to Al Milgrom. No offense to Al Milgrom. But, and then you've got Salvashima. No. You've got Don Heck and Pablo Marcos. Art inside. Again, great storyline. This was another great one, 165. Now I think we're hitting the John Byrne era. So we're bouncing around. I'm going to go back even further with the next batch. And so 165 is listed as a $17 comic. And yeah, Jim Shooter, John Byrne, Pablo Marcos. This cover is actually by George Perez and Mike Esposito. Great cover. And great interior art by John Byrne, if I remember correctly, which I'm sure I do in this case. Because this is my favorite comic at the time when I was growing up. And even though I have these, it's pretty cool to get them in this condition as duplicates. These are really, really nice. I'm impressed. This is George Perez and John Tartaglione. 164. It's listed as $11 and 7.5, but and this actually may be an 8, maybe higher. And again, the interior penciler is John Byrne, and it's his first work on the series. That didn't elevate the price here, but that's fine. Again, and the Sons of the Serpent, or the Living Laser, I should say, was really cool stuff. The Lethal Legion. I remember this stuff. This is always a great cover as well. And man, really, really happy with the conditions of these. Maybe if I crack them out of the bags, they'll be a little rougher than I can tell, because these are nice bags as well. I mean, they're not old and yellow and sticky. And this is 160. So you're looking at only a $10 comic, surprisingly. But again, George Perez, Pablo Marcos, covered by Perez and Joe Sinat. 163, love this one too. Always liked Hercules, popping up in the series, popping up in Thor, popping up in the Avengers. He was always a lot of fun, especially when written by Jim Shooter, actually. Pencils are by George Tuska and Pablo Marcos. So the interior art, probably not quite as good. I wasn't the biggest George Tuska fan, especially during the Bronze Age, but because he was a guy who was, again, a holdover from the Golden Age. And George Perez and Pablo Marcos cover. And then last but not least, 166. Love this one. And this is a George Perez cover. And Ernie Chan is the inker. I know Chicho loves Ernie Chan. He'll go, Ernie Chan. Ernie Chan. Yep, Ernie Chan. So, and I love Ernie Chan from Conan as well. But, and again, the interior pencils by George... No, I got that wrong. Because I was just reading the cover for myself. But then, let's see, 166. Yeah, the pencils, as I thought, were John Byrne and Pablo Marcos. But the cover is by Perez and Chan. And only, actually a $20 comic in 7.0. This is... it's got a little crease in the corner here, and tiny little nick. And then everything else looks good. You know, the spines are really, really surprisingly nice. The first are like really flat and tight, and this one's got just 2 ticks that I can tell, maybe 3. Tiny tick there. Still looking at like a 7.5, 8.0 maybe. So very happy with that collection. Again, a great deal. And that was an auction that I won. I think we had quite a number of bidders on that one. Let's see. Where was I? It's from the same seller, Iron Penny Whistle in Los Angeles. And yeah, there were 22 bids on this. So, pretty hot item. And pretty good deal. And last but not least, and what I'm thinking is a really good haul, pretty happy with it, is more Avengers. Now we're going back a little bit further. Back. Actually, George Perez appeared earlier in the series as well, back in the 140s. But of course, Jack Kirby was also present here. And I think Jack Kirby actually did some of the interior art back then as well. I'm pretty sure I have a copy of this as well. This is 148 with the Squadron Supreme. Those were always a lot of fun as well. Let it glare from my light. But you can see the cover pretty well. And let's just take a quick look. Let's go back to the 140s. And then, of course, it'll jump back to the 150s again. I'll have to change the page. But 148 is 1975 and 8.0. And, man, spine looks fantastic again. Slate, tiniest bit of blunting in the top right corner. Beautiful. And so, I mean, but at the very least, probably a $10 comic, maybe 15. You know, it's not like a hard to find comic, so that's maybe the issue. But then again, love the series here. Love these Kirby covers again. This is 147. This actually cover is, okay, it's by Kirby's knockoff, and I can kind of tell when I look at the faces here and stuff. This is Rich Buckler. Wanda actually looks like a Kirby. That looks very Kirby-esque. And maybe Cap's back, but you can kind of tell by the faces. A little bit more, at least the Vision's face, a little more John Buscema-esque, but it's actually Rich Buckler. And Vinnie Coletta, who of course is Kirby's longtime inker, especially on Thor, but on a lot of other things that Kirby does well. Much maligned, but and George Perez art inside. And then we've got a Gil Kane, Dan Atkins. This was never one of my favorite covers for whatever reason, but I love Gil Kane. And it actually is quite cool. 145. That's one that I bought as a back issue a long time ago. It wasn't one that I bought new. Maybe a little bit before I was collecting. Pencils by Don Heck. Okay, so that's never quite as pleasing. Even though Don Heck did some great work in the Golden Age, I didn't like his work nearly as much in the Bronze Age, and I really liked his, he did some really great romance comics that I've seen subsequently, just online. This is one I don't have for sure, 146. This 145 is probably like it's only, you know, $7 or $8 comic, not a big deal. 146 is listed as 1075 and 6.5, so a lot of these comics they don't have in better condition available than I'm getting here. These are in better condition. A lot of these are really nice. Tiny little corner, very tiny on both corners, and then after that the spine again looks fantastic. Edges look fantastic. I mean, I think I'm maybe undergrading these because I'm surprised that they're so they're in such good shape. Okay, Keith Pollard. This is going to be some pretty early work from Keith Pollard. I really liked his work, but he just did the first 3 pages, and Don Heck, and then cover is by Gil Kane and Al Milgrom. Looks very much like Gil Kane did a very quick rough pencil, and then Milgrom did the heavy finishes because it doesn't quite have the Gil Kane touch. This does, however. This is definitely the Gil Kane touch. the figures, and particularly this kind of creature here, and to some degree the faces. Yeah, so that's a nice cover. 143 is trying to multitask, talking about the art, talking about the prices. Still really only listed in 6.0 as a $9 comic. This is definitely better in 6.0. But I mean, you know, at best, I mean, maybe you could sell it for $10. If I went into my local LCS where they basically slap on $20-30 on anything that was from the 80s, then this comic would probably have a $30-35 price tag on. I mean, crazy, ridiculous, stupid, because you can just go on eBay and pick it up. I mean, yeah, they have to pay the rent, they have to pay air conditioning and all that stuff. They have to pay the staff. Yeah, so that makes sense. But I mean, you're not going to pay them by trying to sell this for $35. I don't think. Maybe I'm grotesquely overestimating. Maybe I can walk in there and maybe it's $5. But I don't go very often. But the times I've been and I looked in the back issue bins, everything that I would be interested in, whether it's bronze or silver, was crazily overpriced. This is one of my favorite issues as well from that time period. I've got one of the original ones I bought for $0.25 off the newsstands when I was a little kid. And then I picked up a back issue, like in some kind of lot a while back that wasn't nearly in this good a condition. This one's actually beautiful condition. Probably looks as good as the one that I bought way back when. And again, great cover. I loved Orca as a villain. This is 149, so you're looking at, yeah, they're saying like a $12 comic in 7.0. This is better in 7.0, so, you know, $10 to $15, but whether somebody would pay that for it, again, always a question. This one has a strange price tag on it. $150, but it actually is legit because it's the same as on my comic shop. I don't know why the price tag is so giant, but actually this was when it was still only 25 cents, and then this has just got the really big 25 cents as well. This was 150, not a double-sized anniversary or anything of the sort. And listed as 11.25, pencils by Perez, inks by John Tartaglione, Duffy Volan, cover by Perez and John Romita. Okay, and this definitely looks more like well, it doesn't really have the flash or flair of George Perez, and it doesn't really have much of the appeal of John Romita either. So Perez probably very loosely penciled this, and then Romita went over it very quickly. Not one of the better covers, but nice art. This, however, is one of the better. The next three are among the better covers. Love this issue as well. Love it. Always loved, you know, just how powerful the figures looked. The Jack Kirby effect. Face front Avengers, the battle's about to begin. The new lineup. And in this time period, you never knew who was going to be an Avenger, but I always thought Thor, Captain America, Iron Man had to be in the core of Avengers, or it just didn't feel right. And pretty much when Jim Shooter, David Michelini were guiding it, that was the way it was. This was, and Steve Englehart, by the way. Steve Englehart was writing these at this time, and they were great. Jerry Conway, Jim Shooter, all were involved in the script. George Perez pencils, inks by John Tartaglione, and this is, of course, Jack Kirby and Dan Atkins. Great teaming. Really nice. And really nice condition. This is, and this was the big catch here. In 8.0, listed as a $45 comic. And then even way down to 5.5 as an $18 comic. Now, why this is listed so high? It's the Avengers, let's see. This issue concludes Steve Englehart's legendary 4-year run as a writer, and a time period that produced many of the Avengers' all-time fan favorites, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard to gauge exactly. It's the first 30-cent issue, but I can't believe that would jack the price up so significantly over all the other comics around it. But anyway, at 8.0, they're trying to sell it for $45. I don't think it's a $45 comic, but this one's actually at least an 8.0. And, you know, I don't know. It just depends on the demand, I guess. I mean, I don't think I could sell it for $40. I don't think I could sell it for $30, but 15, 20? Yeah, maybe. Again, that I'd already be recouping my money if I did that. Love this period as well. Pretty much the same sort of tone and tenor. I'm pretty sure this is Kirby and Atkins as well on the cover. No, this is Kirby and Al Milgrom. Yeah. Atkins, I think, is much better inker. You can kind of see the differences, actually. It still looks like Kirby, but Atkins kind of smooths out everything, and Al Milgrom, just a different style. And I've seen stuff where Al Milgrom's stuff was really good, and then I've seen some of the really bad stuff as well, particularly Avengers Annual number 10 that had incredible Michael Golden art and one of the worst covers I've ever seen. But I don't know if that's Al Milgrom's fault or not, because it looked like it was just like a last-minute job or something. 154, this will conclude in style, I think, the entire comics haul. Only listed as about a $10 comic and 7.5. One of my favorite covers. Maybe one of my favorite covers from the Bronze Age. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite. Love the floating heads, the Kirby floating heads. This is, again, Kirby and Al Milgrom. Loved Atuma. The dialogue, given all the Kirby, you know, all the floating heads, kind of giving you a little bit of exposition. And just a great issue, especially interiors, George Perez, Pablo Marcos. So, and it was always fun when the Wizard and some of the older characters were also in these comics, and that was the case here. So, really fun. Widespread Samer's longtime foe attacking the Vision. Meanwhile, back at the Avengers Mansion, the Scarlet Witch and Jarvis wage a desperate battle for survival against another agent of Atuma, the powerful Tyrak. Will Cap, Shellhead, and the Beast get back to the mansion in time to save their faithful butler and Wanda? A lot happening in this issue, script by Jerry Conway. Anyway, that's it. Sorry if it took too long. I'll be back to the comics readings, which people actually seem to like, very soon. I've been super busy, but I'm going to try to finish the Alan Moore Miracle Man comic reading very soon, and then I don't know what'll be next, but this may be the last comics haul again for quite a while, because I've got a couple more comics coming in, but literally there's just like 2 packages with 2 comics each. They are really good buys again, so maybe I'll do something really quick, but that's probably about the biggest haul I've had and in a while. So that's it for now. I've already run 43 minutes. I'm sure no one will listen to this, but thanks for listening if you're listening, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all those things that every other YouTuber tells you and I never tell you. But that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.